There's too many people that are isolated in trying to do good work for God. They're all trying to figure out how to market Catholicism in a fresh way that actually engages people.
So we tried it the first year, had tremendous success.
It's exciting. I'm having fun. I'm meeting a lot of really great people.
I have been to all of these shows over the last year, and by far this is my favorite.
I want to emphasize the importance of what you're doing as lay apostles in the CMN.
The Catholic Marketing Network has a service that the marketplace needs and the church needs.
There's the distribution of a lot of Catholic religious items, but most of the people you talk to, they say, well, we really come for the networking.
It's a great joy to be here. In fact, it was almost 10 years ago that I came to the Catholic Marketing Network for the first time. There was a friend and I putting out sacred music, and Ignatius Press picked it up and they showcased us, and before you know it, we had sold 20,000 copies to people like you. And that sprungboard a company that now has reach in about 8 different countries.
I found really good and very interesting because I like when people come from everywhere and we can learn a lot. We come to show something, but they show us too. So that's an amazing.
This is always one of my favorite events.
I always love coming here and being here because it's such a synergy to be around like-minded people with the same ideals, the same love for the church. So it's beautiful.
Welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. This is a show all about implanting hope in our hearts. I'm Bill Snyder, joined by my friend Ann DeSantis. We're glad you're here for our uplifting conversation about faith and how it sustains our hearts through all the seasons of life. Thanks for walking with us. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. I am Bill Snyder. It's great to be with you. Thank you so very much for tuning in here on Patchwork Heart Ministries YouTube channel and our podcast channel. Thank you for being here. It is another week here, wrapping it up and headed toward Father's Day weekend, but we don't want to get there too soon because we have a great show for you all. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Ann DeSantis. Ann, how are you?
Good, Bill. Thank you. It's great to be here. I'm excited about this podcast.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's always fun to be here sowing hope on the airwaves.
That's right. We have 2 amazing guests. Now, I'd love to read their bios because there's so much to learn about our 2 guests, which are Patrick Walsh and Eli Wenger. And I'll start out with Patrick. He's the Director of Programs for Catholic Social Services in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Martha's Choice Marketplace, the largest food pantry in Montgomery County. He lives with his saintly and patient wife and 4 little children in Pottstown, PA. When she's not caring for 4 children under 8, she gives Patrick all his best ideas and helps him stay organized despite overwhelming odds. After graduating from Cabrini University in 2010, he taught middle school English for 2 years before joining Catholic Social Services in 2015. He's written for Catholic Philly over the past few years and is now learning how to grow food at Martha's Community Farm in Audubon, PA, at the former St. Gabriel's Hall campus. The farm, like the food pantry, convenes people from all walks of life to come together in service and love for their neighbors. He's blessed to be surrounded by the most amazing team of volunteers ever to run a food pantry, many of whom are clients of the pantry, as well as phenomenal staff team and creative partner and co-director Eli Wenger. In his spare time, he's trying to learn to pray better than he did yesterday and to see God in everyone. And I love to read Eli's bio as well. Eli Wenger is the director of operations for Martha's Choice Marketplace and Community Farm, as mentioned, in Pennsylvania, with a background and focus in authentic community building. Eli has pivoted from small business ownership, Steel City Coffee House in Phoenixville, PA, to running a food pantry that seeks to learn from, communicate, and help invest and build upon the best of the community it serves. He hikes daily with his dog Willa and can usually found playing banjo at any and all hours of the day. Great bios, and thank you so much for joining us, Patrick and Eli.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
Yes, Eli, thank you. It's a blessing to have you both here. And why don't we start out with you, Eli? Just tell us a little bit more about yourself. I really like your bio, and you like to play the banjo. And you mentioned the Steel City Coffee House in your bio there in Phoenixville, PA. My brother used to play music there. My brother, Joe Morales, has been a guest on the Sewing Hope podcast. You may or may not know him. He's also a musician. Do you know Joe Morales? Yeah, you probably didn't know I was his sister, though.
I had no idea. It's a small world, the way it all interconnects, isn't it?
It is. I'll have to let him know. Maybe he's even listening. Who knows?
Who knows?
That's right.
Yeah. So that's my background. I owned Steel City Coffee House for quite a few years, worked there and managed prior to that. So it's pretty much a quarter of my life was spent in one way, shape, or form running that coffee house. And one of the amazing things about that and sort of a real blessing in my life is that I was surrounded by so many different people from so many kind of different walks of life, because Steel City was a music venue, it was a restaurant, but really it was sort of a community center more than anything else, and still is. I sold it in 2016, but it's still going strong, and it taught me a lot about kind of how so many different people from so many different kinds of backgrounds can really come together and build something beautiful, in spite of the fact that maybe they see things from different perspectives. When they come together there, it just beautiful things happened. And when I sold the business in 2016, and Patrick, who I met at Steel City, reached out to see if I was interested in the job, and I was. It was just an amazing blessing that the same opportunity presented itself in this position as it did at Steel City.
Amazing. Well, it's just a small world, isn't it, too? I mean,
indeed.
With the minute I saw Steel City Coffee House, I thought he's got to know Joe, and it's an interesting thing how it all comes together. And our communities here are much smaller than we realize, right? I mean,
yeah.
And that's what you're both doing. You're serving your community with Martha's Choice Marketplace. So tell us about that. Patrick, we'll go to you. And I know that you're a busy person with your beautiful wife and your 4 children. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Well, I mean, I came to the food pantry. I think that was a really providential happenstance. My wife and I grew up in the area, Norristown and Bridgeport, and we both went to the same high school. Several years apart, but we ended up, falling in love and eventually getting married 10 years ago, exactly, in about a week or two. And I started teaching middle school, and then I realized that's definitely not the way to go for me, at least. And I didn't really know what I was going to do, and I had I was off for the summer, and I was farm sitting at a Dorothy Day Catholic worker farm in Wilkes-Barre that was co-owned by a former professor of hers from DeSales University, both doctors Larry and Carrie Chapp. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them.
Oh, she was on the board of directors, and Bill knows her too for the St. Raymond Annatis Foundation. And guess what? She's also a good friend of mine too.
No way.
Carmina Chapp. Well, yep. I've been up there to visit. As soon as you said Dorothy Day Worker Farm, yeah, it's an amazing place. And she's a professor at the university, the college that I just graduated from up in St. Joseph's College of Maine.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. Extremely small world going on here.
Yeah.
So I was up there with my brother Kevin and my 4-year-old daughter at the time, who's now 8, and another almost infant, and we're milking goats, and I'm trying to absorb the beauty and the peace of this farm. And I was also not very religious at the time, so I'd kind of fallen away from the church, and I was just in kind of a bit of a nebulous state, and also professionally untethered, and but I don't know, so I was just on this farm with nothing to do but do all this farm work and sit in Larry and Carrie's dining room, was just lined with all these theology books. So I just started reading and praying and thinking and talking, with my brother, and I don't know. And then Catholic Social Services called me and said, "Hey, we got your resume. We definitely want to interview you for the job." And I didn't apply for it. And I was like, okay, great, miracle, wonderful. So I interviewed. I realized that the person who had been doing the work to redo the this nun's basement into a grocery store, where people can shop for free. I had applied for an internship with him to install edible landscapes in people's front yards or whatever, and he didn't really have money for me to do that, but he had gotten this job, revamping this food pantry, and he had my resume, and he applied for the job for me. So I went in and I interviewed, and they hired me. And then soon after, Eli came, and that's kind of how I came to be there. And my whole experience at the food pantry, like Eli said, like being in this real community, you end up developing very deep relationships with these people, all of whom are very different than yourself, and that I think that can't help but be spiritually transformative. And so that whole process was just a process of I don't know, uncovering God much more and more for me in my life, and it's just been such an outrageous blessing that continues to be a ever unfolding story for us, everybody.
Wow, that is beautiful. I just feel that this podcast was all God ordained, right? I mean, and I should mention the way that we got connected was that I'm on the board with Catholic Charities Appeal. And I think I told you, Patrick, that you were recommended as someone would be a great person to talk to regarding being the recipient. The Martha's Choice is a recipient of the appeal. And that you're helping all of those people who give to the Catholic Charities Appeal. They're making their donations are making a big impact.
Absolutely.
Can you both tell us? Maybe we'll start with Eli to begin with. Tell us what kind of an impact is it making on these communities?
It's pretty mind-boggling. I come at this both as as a non-Catholic. As well as a small business owner in my past. So when I walked into this, I just I don't know. I had such a different lens maybe than most would in terms of what happens in this sort of community. And I'm used to sort of running a business where just asking someone to do the smallest thing that you're paying is a challenge. And then I come into this community of we have roughly at the time anyway, pre-COVID, about 130 volunteers that I mean, we're just so from so many different kinds of backgrounds, from so many different sort of perspectives they're coming together to. I mean, we process, close to about 1 million pounds of food is what we distribute per year prior to COVID. And then last year, the first year of COVID, obviously, 1.6 million pounds of food distributed to the Norristown, specifically a community, as well as all of Montgomery County. And to see, I mean, like, the really cool thing about, and I didn't have anything to do with the setup of this choice model, but one of the most amazing things about how that operates is that people really come together in a fashion that allows them to be who they are, and a lot of the power dynamics that may have existed, I don't know, in sort of previous models of how food pantries might operate, had been sort of removed with this choice model, where people could shop for the things that they and their families need, as opposed to being given sort of a sort of, this is your box, you get what you get, hope you can use as much of it as possible. This was a completely different way of doing things, and it allowed people to really get to know each other. And so entering into it, I got to know so many people from so many, different backgrounds, who really kind of, this food was the difference between them making it and not making it, because most of the families that we serve are working families. These are not folks, like we're it's not like a soup kitchen where the folks that we serve, are really kind of, maybe in a more, acutely serious, type of poverty. These are folks that this is what helps them make ends meet at the end of the month. They're working, they're trying to do everything they can to make ends meet. And what we do is the difference between them making it not, in a lot of ways. And it's just been incredible to be a part of it.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And what a great mission. And I'm so glad that you really articulated that so nicely, Eli. Thank you for that. And thank you for the mission. Thank you for creating a platform for people who are working hard to make, and here's the thing. We all know people like that in our lives. I think that's a very relatable thing. I think it's an extremely relatable, thing, because I think many of us have been there. Probably, if you're coming from a small business background, I'm sure that there were more than a few times when you could relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially for us in ministry too. I mean, ministries like Patchwork, our ministry, or the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation, families that are out there working, that are doing good for the world. There's some level of God's providence involved in this too, right? Like, are there any of the stories of the families that are coming in here to talk with you that you have about, and either one of you can answer this, but just are there any stories that you have from these families that you like where you see these miracles abound, from the food you're providing, or the things that are happening because of the ministry that you have, because of the great blessings that you're providing to others?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of some specific stories. Overarchingly, the one miracle that I see just constantly repeating itself is people being. So we talked about the beauty of community, where people are coming together, that people are different than them, they're working together, they're experiencing one another on a more fundamental level. This culture of encounter. But over top of that, people are just coming together. They're building friendships. Their support networks are growing. And so they may have come to the food pantry relatively isolated. Maybe they didn't know a lot of people, or maybe they had a small circle of people that were their friends before. But having, become part of the family, so to speak, over the course of years, their support network is broad. They got people that can give them rides back and forth to places, people that they can go to and be like, hey, do you know anything about this confusing thing? Can you help me with this? That's been, the most some of the most amazing examples. I was just talking about Jerome.
Yeah.
We this one kid came from across the street, the apartments across the street, and just started helping us out one summer. I don't know, he was 15 or 16, and then he's just worked crazy, just helping us. Really was the only reason that we, Eli and I were able to do the cool things that we were beginning to do, where we were growing things and developing programs. That only happened because this kid showed up, and he was taking care of of all this other stuff, unloading trucks, putting stuff together in the back, which is mostly what Eli and I were doing for a long time. Sometimes it felt like, by ourselves. And I mean, we just he just kind of grew up with us, and Eli and I just went down to his graduation from basic training at Fort Jackson in South Carolina. He's in the Army Reserves, and I'm just grown into an amazing young man. Eli used to tell him the story about how we ended up getting invited.
Well, I mean, he just so I mean, we've been following. He's he's just such a cool kid. He's from Jamaica, and sort of we met him as he was sort of kind of figuring himself out, coming into young adulthood, trying to understand. His mother had passed away not too many years earlier, and he had moved to the United States with his aunt, who he calls his mother just by Jamaican tradition, but is not actually his mother. His mother had passed. And so he was kind of figuring himself out, trying to, cope with her death, understand, who he was, who would he be becoming in America for the first time, and trying to kind of figure all this stuff out. And initially, I mean, we were kind of a sounding board, I think, for kind of some of the things that he was going through. And over time, I think he began to trust us. And I think one of the interesting things about Patrick and I is we don't put on any airs. We are who we are. And I have a gutter mouth, and I'm going to do my best not to curse.
You're doing a great job.
But I left to my own devices, it's not a pretty picture sometimes. But I think he appreciated the fact that we talked to him honestly, and we didn't kind of pretend we were someone that we weren't, or expect him to be someone that he wasn't. And I think he picked up on that, and we appreciated that from him as well. And so we I don't know, a level of closeness kind of formed that was really cool. And he confided in us in a lot of the ways that he was changing and growing and learning himself. And so basically, we followed him, and he decided he was going to join the military, and we supported him in that. And this was the means for him to pay for college, and that was great for him. And then all of a sudden, I'm hiking in the woods. And I get a phone call from Jerome saying, "Hey, I'm allowed to invite 2 people to my graduation next week. I have 5 minutes before I got to give an answer. Can you do it?" And it was quick, try to figure this out. And we just said, you know what? Just say yes. We'll figure it out. Well, because that means we have to drive down to South Carolina on a Wednesday, and then drive back from South Carolina on that Thursday. So it's like a 10-hour drive, 12-hour drive either way. But it's we're going to find a way to make it work, because we just wanted to support him so much, because he's just such a cool dude. And we figured it out. We got things covered, and it all came together, and we got to see him. And it's weird. He left. Last time I'd seen him, he was still a young man, and now he was a man. You could just see how he was coming to his own, and really kind of, I don't know, a certain sort of strength kind of came from him. That was really beautiful to see.
That's a great story, and I really appreciate it, because I think listeners can really appreciate that and realize the importance of getting involved, and the step that he took. Right, the step that he took. There might be some young people out there that are looking for volunteer work, that are trying to find themselves. Do something very simple, like walk across the street and help the local nonprofit. And that is such a great story, because I don't think we hear a lot of those stories. There was so many positive things that you brought up in there, just the mentoring and a lot of the terms of uncling, right? Like to be an uncle and just bring people along with you as part of your family, and create this beautiful relationship with this young man who learned how to serve, right? And now is giving the ultimate sacrifice for his country to serve in the military. So I mean, so many things you guys taught him, and the ways that he gave back to you and to your mission, I'm sure helped him to see life from a great perspective. So it really works on both sides, right? It's not just the recipients of the food, that it's also the recipients of those people and those volunteers working hard and the things that they're giving to others, because
it
important.
Absolutely is. so many of the people that come in need of food are also volunteers. It was a little less when COVID hit, because people who are food insecure were really hit the hardest. You know, we lost a bit of those folks, but they're coming back now more. And that's the other amazing part of that, is that, you know, we've got, you know, people that, you know, are, you know, truly representative of the entire community that we're serving as a part of the volunteer team. And then we learn from them. And there's really, like, I think you touched on it a little bit. There's the self-discovery aspect to all of this. When you go and try to serve or whatever, you know, we've tried to find a spot for everybody. You know, everybody has something to contribute. And in that act of serving, the act of love, you find yourself. You know, that's a real thing. You know, I think it's part of the reason we've got 130 volunteers, you know, coming regularly doing this thing, is because it's beautiful on every level. It's beautiful on the level of service. We're doing this, like, tangible, actionable, desperately needed thing, you know, that others are in need of, which is getting all this massive amount of food out in a dignified way. But we're also so enriched by it on so many levels.
Yeah, it's really circular. I mean, you know, and again, you know, I don't see myself as particularly cynical. However, I have my cynical side, and so when I first started, I remember kind of like putting together this list of trying to track all the volunteers and when they would come in. So we made sure we had this crew, because I'm used to, you know, again, you know, staffing people, making sure that everything's covered, and like with the expectation that getting people to do this work would be a challenge. You know, these volunteers, like, you have to keep an eye on these volunteers, make sure that they're doing everything we need to do. And then, like, not too far into it, I realized, oh my gosh, like, these guys got it covered so easy. Like, I couldn't believe, like, just sort of I don't know, just how generous people were with their spirit, with their time. Like, it just, I'd never seen kind of anything like that. You know, I didn't grow up in the church, so this was something that was new to me, and I hadn't kind of seen firsthand, you know. And so to witness, you know, these people, like, giving of themselves every single day was just, I still am in awe of it. I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years with Patrick, and it still blows my mind how generous people are, and how selfless they are, coming together and doing this work. And every day, I mean, Patrick, you know, said it, you know, like, we're learning something, like an experience is happening that transcends, you know, our beliefs and helps us to kind of further just kind of be enriched by the community that we serve, and grow as people and grow in our spirit. And it just, every day, it just seems to just something new surprises me in a wonderful way.
Some people even come out, they like pay to, like, you know, take transportation to get here. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, I have to say, and I've been enjoying listening to the conversation between everybody here, you know, Patrick, Eli, Bill, and myself, of course, too. And as a board member, now I'm a new board member with Catholic Charities Appeal. And I have to say, for those who are listening, who have found out about this podcast through the appeal, is that this is where the rubber meets the road. I mean, this is where your money is going to help all these people and to put food on the table for people who need it. And as Patrick and Eli have both said, these are hardworking people who it is benefiting them, and it is helping their families to get what they, you know, get the resources and get the food that they need to continue on. So I just want to thank you both, from Catholic Charities Appeal and from the people that I represent from our Archdiocese of Philadelphia. And it's just so good to know that when people make that donation, that it's going to someplace that's really making a big difference for the lives of others. I noticed that in Patrick, in your bio, you said he's blessed to be surrounded by the most amazing team of volunteers ever to run a food pantry, many of whom are clients of the pantry, as well as a phenomenal staff team and creative partner and co-director Eli Wenger. Tell us more about that, about the people you work with, and what is it like on a day-to-day basis? Maybe we'll start out with Eli this time.
Well, for starters, I mean, like, I just can't say enough about Patrick. Patrick is just one of the most beautiful human beings I have ever met in my life. And there's not a day goes by that I'm not grateful just for him somehow meandering into Steel City Coffee House one time and us getting to know each other. Truly, truly one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. And thank you for bringing me into this world. And we've just been, I mean, yeah, we have this amazing crew. I mean, like we were actually giving each other a pat on the back a few days ago. We don't do it often, but every once in a while we say to each other, "Hey, brother, we're freaking doing a frickin'. I said frickin'. We're doing a great job." And what we were referring to is with when COVID hit, unfortunately, a significant portion of the Catholic Social Services staff at our facility had to be let go because some of the programs had to be shut down, and so it was kind of a devastating kind of thing. And we've been able to grow the program back, and we hired 5 new people. Right, 5 new people, I think, total, and they've just been amazing. And we were kind of giving each other a pat on the back, saying, "Hey, way to go! We did a great job hiring these people because they're really just doing such a great job.
They're unbelievable.
They're unbelievable." And so that is just such a weight off of our shoulders that allows us to do what we do best and know that all the bases are covered. And then you have these volunteers that just come from all walks of life. Some are parishioners at St. Paul's, where we're located. Some are just, residents of Norristown and Montgomery County that are clients. Some are folks that heard of us, through one thing or another. I mean, they truly do come from all walks of life and all backgrounds and all faiths and all belief systems. And they come together and they just, I don't know. We do our best to try and make it an environment that feels comfortable and feels welcome to everybody who enters. And then they come in and then just do this amazing job of taking care of like I said, last year was 1.6 million pounds of food that went out to our community. And really, they do it all. We oversee it and we take credit for it on podcasts like this. But truth be told, all we do is sort of help kind of arrange a few things so that they can just do this work and make it happen.
Yeah, it's absolutely mind-boggling. We're just like the sound guys for the band, which is the volunteers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Tell us more about your volunteers, because I know you said you mentioned how many. There's like more than 100, I think, right?
Yeah. So Eli mentioned some of the places that they come from, but so they're coming from disparate places, lots of Catholic parishes around the area. We took out an ad with John Patrick Publishing for like the bulletin at St. Paul's to like say, thanks guys for all your help. And the sales team started volunteering from the publishing company. And then they got all their friends at St. Eleanor's to like volunteer. So now like half that parish is it's crazy. And the neighboring parishes, people get excited and then their friends get excited and then they bring them. And then they're working alongside people they never would have met before, unless they like bumped into them, in the food pantry here. A lot of amazing senior citizens who have been volunteering with us for a very long time, who go to great lengths to come out to come here. I mean, so like, I'm thinking about like Rita, like, so this amazing woman named Rita, she had been, I guess, coming out probably for years before I got there. And then she's like coming out faithfully. She doesn't drive. She was taking, Transnet to come out every single day, paying for that, dealing with that. And I'd be rushing there, trying to get there early in case they dropped her off early. Now she's down in the cold, but it doesn't matter. She's out there doing it. And I would remember like, Rita hasn't come back since because I think she, it was, concerned about some health things and stuff like that. But I missed her. I missed her deeply. We used to pray together on Friday mornings, like before everything started. There's nobody else there, and that was such a peaceful and invigorating thing, And Anne is 98. She's. I remember one day I needed to make some extra money. This is like 4 years ago, and I was like shoveling snow all night. And so I didn't go to sleep. I showed up to work at like 6 a.m. And I shoveled out there because the shoveling people didn't get there yet. And I was a little bitter about that. But then it's 8 o'clock it's like 7:30 in the morning, and Anne pulls up in this, like, the snow had fallen to such a point where, like, should we cancel? I don't know. But Anne pulls up, 98 years old, trudging through the snow, unshoveled parking lot. She's like, what are we doing? Oh my God.
She actually helped shovel at 98 years old?
I asked her to throw the salt. No, she wasn't shoveling, but she walked through the snow. She's amazing,
and she's back now. She's she was out for the initial. Yeah, she was out for the. A lot of our seniors, when COVID initially hit, and we didn't know that much about it, and you were afraid that if you touched the same doorknob 3 days later, who knows, like.
Right.
So a lot of our seniors stayed home initially, and we had great support. Victory Church basically redesigned their whole kind of like staffing to be volunteers at our with the child.
Yeah, they needed to reroute their child care staff. Yeah.
And they started volunteering up with us and got us through the initial stages of the pandemic. But now that things are starting to feel kind of approaching normal again, we're heading in that direction anyway. A lot of our seniors have come back, and it's been really nice to kind of reconnect with them after so much time and see each other again. It's been really beautiful.
Yeah, and they've been meeting all the new volunteers that have come. So many new people. So it's another moment of growth. Because it was sad, missing so many people for so long. But now all those people, a lot of them are coming back, and now like 50 new volunteers that everybody's meeting. It's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I will say beautiful is the perfect word. The work that you're doing is beautiful, serving others. And you both came from different backgrounds too. And what would you say for the both of you? What do you like the most about your work? Well, let's start out with Patrick.
Well, I have to say, I can't say good enough things about Eli. It's such a blessing to have a partner like Eli. I truly don't know anyone else in the world with his particular level of skills, of just heart skills, of just patience and love and relentless joy that he brings to people, and the patience that he has with me, and other people. It's just, there's no way that I could do any of these things, if he wasn't there doing that. And so, and being himself, and he's just a gift to everybody that happens across him. And so we're lucky to have him. And I feel strongly that all of these other people that we're working with, this whole venue of the food pantry is a place where people begin to uncover their hearts. Life takes us in different directions. We get maybe we get crud over ourselves, or we can get sidetracked or lose track of ourselves. But really, in this act of working together and learning about one another and having genuine curiosity about one another, we really find our true selves. It's something that if you are a fly on the wall at gatherings or parties or people talking to each other, a lot of, I think, the pain that people have is in feeling separated from other people and feeling alienated from themselves. And this is, I guess, it's kind of heady stuff, but these are the things that I see, directly see it healed all the time in our work. And so that's what's so amazing. I'm just blown away that people are open to that. I'm blown away that to just see it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with Patrick. I really am a pleasure to work with.
That's good.
But seriously, folks, no, but he's exactly right. I mean, like, there's not a day that goes by that, I mean, like, you can't do this kind of work without confronting yourself on some kind of level. You know, you see all the things around you.
Yeah.
Say that again.
It confronts you.
It does. Yeah. I mean, like, you can't do this kind of work and not have to kind of come to terms with your own things that you're going through. You know what I mean? And so, and the venue that we work in is such an opportunity to experience kind of the best in people and to see these transformative moments that inspire you and that help to heal you and that help to teach you and that help to challenge you and force you to kind of rethink things, or at least, you know, better understand why you think them. And you know, so there's such a space to connect with others and really to ultimately then connect with yourself so that you can better connect with others. And it's sort of this kind of like, you know, spiral that grows. As you connect better with yourself, you can connect better with others, and they teach you how to connect better with yourself so that you can connect better with them and continue to grow. It's just, it's such a blessing to be part of that. I mean, I don't know of any other place that, you know, I'm sure there are those places, but it's just such a healing environment, I think, for so many different kinds of people in so many different kinds of ways. And there's not a day that goes by that I'm not on some kind of level inspired by what I see and a better person for it.
Wow, that's incredible. I appreciate both of you sharing. And we get people from all over the place that listen to this podcast. I'm here in the Philadelphia area, and Bill is out in Wisconsin. And of course, wow. And of course, Patrick and Eli are in the Philadelphia area. Bill is a Philadelphia native, though. He was born and raised here, but now he's out in the Milwaukee area. But tell us where Martha's Choice is located. And if anybody's listening and would like to share the work that you're doing, tell us as much as you can about whether they want to be a volunteer or if they need resources, where they can, you know, how they can sign up.
So we are located at 353 East Johnson Highway in Norristown. That's St. Paul's Parish in Norristown. However, we're also at St. Gabriel's Hall, 1350 Paulings Road, Audubon. That's a disputed zip code. I'm told it's 19407. Google will tell you otherwise. Many other zip codes are provided for that location. I'm trying to work through that right now, but most people know where St. Gabe's is. We're farming that, and we're doing a huge warehousing operation out of the refectory and dining hall of the St. Gabriel's Hall. So we could use help with all kinds of things.
Tell us more.
What should we ask for help for first, Eli? We need volunteers for the farm.
Yeah, the farm is taking priority these days. Farming's hard, and we're just learning that. And so anyone that likes to be outside and work in the soil, please come on down.
Tuesdays 9 to 5. Yeah, we're and Fridays 9 to 5. We're growing food for the food pantry, and we're also trying to create a space, again, exactly like we said with the food pantry, where people are coming together and they're able to have this experience together. At the farm, we get to do it in the soil. It's all the better. And at the food pantry, we really need lifting help. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:30 to 1:30. We could really use a lot of lifting help, unloading trucks. Right now there's a staff of two and a half people managing the direct unloading of 1.6 million pounds of food. So we could definitely use help with that. If you want to sign up to become a recurring donating Martha's Miracles member, that would be wonderful.
MarthasChoiceMarketplace.com.
Thank you, Eli. Yeah, I would encourage everybody to check that out. MarthasChoiceMarketplace.com.
Martha's Choice Marketplace.
MarthasChoiceMarketplace.com. So thank you so much. Now, you both came from different professions before. Of course, Eli mentioned Steel City, and Patrick, I know you were involved. The two of you met at Steel City, though. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Totally amazing. So what's the difference between what you used to do before and now what you're doing, like the reward level? I mean, because I know that what you're doing now, you're making an impact for people who really need it. Not to say that when you're involved in something like working at a really cool coffee house and meeting some great people, but here you're helping to bring food on the table to people in need.
Well, from my perspective, I'm pretty much the world's worst capitalist. And so being a business owner went against sort of a lot of my instincts for how I want to interact with people in terms of, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of beautiful things about owning the coffee house and all the music and all the culture that went down there. But ultimately, the limitation of that is the fact that I don't see things in dollars and cents. I see things in terms of how they build community. And sometimes you can build community and it doesn't necessarily translate into profit. And that's one of the tough things about a business is everything's got to be viewed through the eyes of profit. And sometimes in order to achieve profit, you have to kind of go against some of your beliefs, and Patrick and I used to have these to me very memorable conversations. I don't know if he remembers all of them, but I remember at least some of them, talking about the challenges in his experience. And I'll let him explain that with teaching. But for me, I have this coffee house and I'm serving a lot of different kinds of people. And some of these people are really struggling, and they come into the coffee house and, you could come and clean up and we give you some food or some coffee. But then some of them might start going around to my, clientele asking for money. And all of a sudden my clientele is telling me, like, hey, this guy's coming around asking for money, can you kick him out? And so now I have to kind of be the guy that is telling someone that needs help, get out of here, you're hurting my business, which goes against my belief systems, but it's what I need to do in order to make money, because I'm going to lose clientele. They're not going to come if this guy's here always begging for money. And so those challenges of kind of how to live by the principles that I believe in while also being able to kind of make a living. Like I just realized at a certain point that I don't know that I'm the right guy to run a business. And so there were some challenges there, that I butt up against. And Patrick, I'll defer to you, but you had a similar, or at least, you had similar kind of conflict in your own job.
Yeah, I had a lot of conflict. I think I will say anyone who teaches middle school in a high need school district should I don't know, get canonized, and they should get like a Nobel Peace Prize, or because I was unprepared and did not have the full toolbox of skills that my students really needed, at the time. Despite my absolute best efforts, and working 70 hours a week to try to like make this work, maybe 80 hours a week. And that was really, really hard to finally be like, I don't think I have the full thing of what these kids need. And that was really hard realization. Also, I was operating under imploding school districts. So like, it's hard to be operating under a, second layer of like fear and crisis and chaos, and working here and the way I will say that our jobs have evolved over just the recent past with Eli and I being able to like co-direct this like majorly growing and sprawling operation has been so the opposite of that. It's life-giving and it's invigorating. And I'll plug our boss here, Dr. James Black is an amazing. Oh,
I know Jim Black.
Is an amazing leader.
Mm-hmm.
Jim is just such a pleasure to work under, and really gives us an opportunity to flourish. And he's not paying me to say that. It really is a joy, and getting to the freedom to flourish in my spiritual life. Like I've found God in this amazing way in this past year. And having the freedom to pray with people at work, to have conversations like that. Eli and I have had conversations that have like enabled me to open my heart to grace in a way that I may not have been before if it hadn't been jarred or moved or by conversations that he and I had. So I find it a place that's like also like just a fountain of grace for people, and we can help ourselves be open to that. So it's great.
Yeah, thank you both for that. I think there's a lot we can learn, and I think obviously you guys are doing it for the right reasons. You've made the sacrifice to take on this role, the roles that you are taking on for a certain reason, right? And it's because it gives you life. It's because it lifts you up, and it lifts others up. And I think, service. Ann and I talk about this often on the show. Gosh, we just finished doing the Greatest Commandment episodes just a little while ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We just finished doing those about loving your neighbor as yourself, and when you can do that, when you can mirror that, and that's exactly what you guys are doing. You're loving your neighbors the way you love yourselves, and that is a remarkable thing. And I hope our listeners have I know that they have gained some great insight and some wonderful practical things that they can do. I think just by reaching out, serving, going across, to reach out to different nonprofits. Certainly, if they're in the Philadelphia area, certainly if they're in your neck of the woods, to reach out to you, right, and to help you, because you can just see. I mean, we can see each other here on Zoom, and although our listeners can't, but the fact we can see each other, and just I can see how you have just been so transformed through the work you're doing. I mean, it's just evident in how you talk and how you present yourselves and everything. It just you've transformed through the work, and so I hope that for everybody. I hope that find the life-giving work that God wants you to do. It's a beautiful thing. So just thank you both for your wonderful service, and it's a pleasure.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Bill, you said that well, that I see that transformation too. I mean, and I don't know you two very well, just getting to know you here. And I'm blessed that I was introduced to you through Catholic Charities Appeal and my work on the board, and some of the people that work for the Catholic Foundation of Greater Philadelphia that suggested you to me to interview you, because when people make a donation to Catholic Charities, sometimes you feel like, okay, where is this money going to exactly? And I've only been on the board for like less than 6 months, but I can tell you this: I get to really see what's going on in our archdiocese, and I get to see where that money is going. And it is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit organization that's helping people like the recipients at Martha's Choice Marketplace, and the work that you, Patrick, and Eli are doing. So I just think that's an amazing thing. If somebody is listening and they're thinking about making some kind of a donation, whether it be directly to Martha's Choice Marketplace or even to the Catholic Charities Appeal, would you have anything to say to them about, how they're helping people?
Well, they're helping us love people. They're providing a major need in their communities. People come to us, with varieties of needs. But usually food isn't the only thing. There's a lot of difficulties people are dealing with in their life. A lot of people majorly housing insecure. The eviction moratorium is coming up on June 30th, and who knows what's going to happen after that. People are able to meet dire needs by donating, and also contribute to all the beautiful life-giving goodness and grace that we were talking about, that we're able to experience by coming together and doing the work.
Yeah, and the work that we do, I mean, like, it wouldn't be possible without Catholic Charities. It just wouldn't. And as again, someone who maybe came from outside the church and didn't realize how this operated, I'm continually impressed, and blown away by the kindness that we're shown and the generosity of people's time, but also the funding that allows us to do like this amazing work and continue to grow. And it's truly impressive.
Well, you two are truly impressive. And I mean that in that sort of godly way, that you are doing God's work. And it really is incredible. I want to thank both of you for your service to others, to your service to our own archdiocese here in Philadelphia, to Catholic Charities, and also the Catholic Foundation of Greater Philadelphia, who also loves the work that you're doing. And they're also trying to, do that fundraising to help the mission here. So on behalf of all of those people, I just want to say thank you. And on behalf of also Bill and I both, Patchwork Heart Ministry, and you're taking the time to be a guest on this podcast. We really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us and getting to know us and getting to know you.
Yeah. Thanks for doing what you're doing, spreading lots of joy and hope.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, you guys fit into our mission so well. Sowing hope into broken hearts is our tagline at Patrick Heart Ministry, and you guys certainly are just doing that. So thank you. And I want to remind listeners, while we just have a few minutes, that they may have seen a ad for the Catholic Marketing Network pop up right before the show, and that is a wonderful show. It is open to all ministries and all different outreaches of the church, and it's one of those things that is nationwide. Some would even say global. People come from Italy to the trade show. This year, it's held out in my neck of the woods, but it has been held in Lancaster, Pennsylvania before. It's been held in Dallas, Texas. It's going to be in Chicago, July 27th through the 29th, which is a Tuesday through Thursday. You can look for both Ann and myself there, because we're going to have a booth there at the trade show, and the wonderful things that are going to be happening there. But just check it out. It's very simply CatholicMarketing.com, or CatholicMarketingNetwork.com, excuse me, and you'll be able to, sign up and take a look at all the many different vendors and the many different people that are involved there. Catholic Charities is certainly going to be represented at the trade show. So you people can reach out and help Catholic Charities Global, and then of course reach into your own archdiocese. If you're in Archdiocese of Milwaukee, if you're in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, support Catholic Charities and all the wonderful work they do, because as you just heard tonight, folks, Patrick and Eli are doing great work, just doing great work. So, Ann, any last words here before we wrap up this evening?
Yeah, Bill, thank you so much. And I would say that for any of our listeners who are going to be in the Chicago area, July 27th through 29th, that you come to visit us at the Catholic Marketing Network show, and we will have a booth there. We would love to meet you. Come and meet Bill and I, stop by. We're going to be interviewing people for Sowing Hope there too. So if any of our friends are there in Chicago and want to join us, please do. And I want to thank Patrick and Eli for being guests. Please do come back again to Sowing Hope.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
So much. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, that's all we have for you this week. We hope you have a great Father's Day weekend, and we hope that you and your families continue to be blessed during this year. And until next time, from all of us here at Patchwork Heart Ministry, the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation, and Fiat Ministry Network, I'm Bill Snyder. Keep beating to your Catholic heart and sowing hope into broken hearts.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sowing Hope on Patchwork Heart Radio. For more information about this podcast and our ministries, visit our websites, patchworkheart.org and andesantis.com. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at PWH Ministry or Andy Santis 2.